funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Welcome to My Funny Friends. Is there an S at the end? Do we have an S at the end? It's My Funny Friends. My Funny Friend.
Yeah. That'd be weird if it was my funny friend.
Yeah, that's why I was like, this sounds weird.
Yeah.
My Funny Friends. Welcome back. I'm Will Abeles.
Hey.
New co-host. The short-lived new co-host of My Funny Friend.
He's new here.
I am very new. It's quite new. And we have a very special treat today. You've already gotten to know him. He's been doing the podcast for a while now. Some would say he started it. Everyone, I'm going to be interviewing my very funny friend, Drew Harrison, today.
It's me.
That's Drew. Hello, Drew.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing? Good. You have a good day?
Great intro, by the way. That was fantastic. That was money. I loved it.
You do the structure.
I know that 99% of the things I say are sarcastic. That's actually the 1%.
That was genuine?
That was genuine.
Wow. I finally got you. I only took 3 episodes.
Yeah. Look at
2, depending on
what order we go in here. Who knows?
Yeah, depending on the chronological order. This will be like, it's going to become like the MCU, where it's like, well, actually, if you watch it like this, that's
watch it in this order.
And if you watch, you can see Will just get worse and worse at this. So you got to go to the beginning when he was really good, and then he just got worse and terrible, and to a point where Drew just started muting his mic.
I love that this is the story arc you're giving yourself. This is great.
Yeah. Well, of course, I had to start it out by making it about me, because today's going to be all about you. Let's get into this. So I know a little bit about your background. We're going to talk about Drew's history and just how that contributed to his stand-up comedy career. Because I feel like it's pretty, especially in your adult life, I feel like it's very much linked into you getting into stand-up and pursuing stand-up.
Yes. That's how. That just shows you how terrible of jobs I've had. That stand-up's a better option.
I've had a ton of jobs, but whenever I talk to you, that's the only time that I'm like, I guess I haven't had that many jobs.
I've tried it all.
All right, so take us to the very beginning, Drew. Where were you born? Where were you originally from?
Originally from a place we collectively call the Pines, because it has pines and everything. Southern Pines, Whispering Pines, Pine Bluff, Pinehurst, just nothing but golf courses and horse farms. And
these are not trees that he's describing.
No, these are towns that are so tiny that it's Moore County, North Carolina. It's directly in between Raleigh and the South Carolina border. My mom was born in a place like 45 or 30 minutes down the street called Rockingham. So we lived there for the first 4 years. My grandparents. My grandfather was a minor league baseball player, and that's how he ended up in Rockingham. He played for the Rockingham Rockets minor league baseball team.
See, that's a good that name makes sense.
Yeah. Rockingham Rockets. I love it. It just rolls. It's just, I miss mascots back in the day. They're good. Like he originally played for the Reedsville Luckies, because they had a Lucky Strike cigarette factory in Reedsville.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah, and he's from Reedsville, North Carolina. So brought him down to Rockingham, linked up with a little South Carolina girl that I refer to as Nanny. And they set up shop in Rockingham. He eventually became like the building inspector for Rockingham.
Okay.
So he retired there, and then we moved up to Southern Pines because my mom finished nursing school, got a job in Southern Pines, found a nice little house in Pine Bluff that I grew up in. Graduated high school, went off to East Carolina University.
Oh my gosh, very prestigious.
Yes. Some might call it
best parties in the East.
Playboy.com, a top 5 party school.
Did you guys make top 5?
We did. 1 year we made top 5.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool.
Then Arizona State came and just shoved us out of the way. But hey, that's fine. Whatever. It's fine.
A little bit bigger. A little bit.
But I went to college at like 17, and that was just
okay.
Bad idea. Didn't go to my 8 a.m. classes.
Why would you?
Didn't really study. Didn't really have a game plan. So I just kind of spent a year in Greenville in East Carolina, politely asked me to not come back the following year. They said, you know what, go to community college, figure some things out, come on back. So I went home, didn't really know what to do, got into auto body school.
Huh.
So I learned how to paint cars. All this time I'm working as like a landscaper, and then I spent time as a roofer. And I worked at a sandwich shop, and I was a busboy.
So you're 18 at this point, 19?
18. Yeah, just turned 18.
You're 18, you're working as a roofer, a landscaper, a sandwich shop, which if I remember, you like the sandwich shop.
I love the sandwich shop. That was my job off and on from like 16 to like 21.
Yeah.
Loved that job.
Yeah, I remember you speaking very fondly of the sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then,
and you're painting cars.
Yeah. So I'm going to school. I finished school. Surprisingly, the guy that bought the sandwich shop had this little shop out in the outlines of the county that he fixed small engines, like little carburetors, like weed eaters, things like that.
There's one of those guys in every small town.
He just did everything.
Yeah.
And he was a transplant from New York. So he had the thick New York accent. He was like, Drew, I got this building.
Did he ever tell you why he came down from New York?
No.
Was it one of those guys?
Oh, I don't. Hey, who knows? I
used to do stuff up there, but now
I don't. Didn't ask questions, you know. But he's had this building, and he's like, "Hey, you just finished school. Why don't you set up shop, paint some cars in this building?" Didn't have the right equipment. Didn't really know what I was doing. But we were spitting out like Mako paint jobs, like $200 paint jobs. You know what I mean? Like we'll spray it a different color and get it out the door. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
really putting out quality work, you know?
Yeah.
So that turned into like a 2-year, 3-year thing, stress out of my mind. Never made any money. Always owed somebody money. Just was losing my hair at like 21, you know,
nice.
Like developed fatty liver disease because I was just drinking myself, ridiculous every night.
So like starting off your early 20s, like basically like a 48-year-old man, like a, you know, who's like
with alimony, you know, with alimony payments.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So my buddy at the time, his mom got sick, so he ended up moving back from East Carolina too. So he was my business partner, and he knew nothing about painting cars, which in reality I didn't either. So
right. So this is exactly who you want running a business.
We're just crushing it at like 19, 20. But we had this really cool tax lady. Her family owned strip clubs around the area. Pure Gold. If you ever heard of Pure Gold.
Yeah.
She was our
I got a little too excited there, but
accountant. I think they're Cheetahs now. I think they all sold out to Cheetahs. You know, a little strip club history there for you listeners. Didn't think you'd get that, huh?
And we want to make it clear we did not, when Drew and I toured, we did not go to the one in Atlanta that we
did
were
not
told.
And we're sorry. We'll go back. We'll bookmark it.
We'll go back.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
So we had a really cool accountant, and she was like, so what do y'all get? Like, we were just randomly in there one year for our like end of year. Hey, you didn't make any money. This is what I'm going to file it away as, blah, 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 you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, so what are you going to do? And we were like, keep on trucking, man. What you talking about? We're turning the corner here, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, well, what are you like? Because we fixed up at our new location. We actually got a nice paint booth. We upgraded what we were doing. We still didn't really know what we were doing, but somehow, some way, we were putting out a slightly better product. You know,
right.
Like it's only slightly better.
Front of house looks incredible.
Yeah.
Back of house, don't go. Don't
check that bumper.
Don't see what the chef's doing. Don't see what the chef's doing.
No. I remember one time I was trying to get the paint off of this old muscle car, and I was like using different angles of my sander, which they tell you in school don't do. So I painted a nice gloss coat over it, and it had all these ridges in it. I had to start from scratch. I wasted like a couple $100 of paint. Like, it was bad.
Oh God.
But I stressing myself out even thinking about those days. But she was like, what are you going to do? And we were like, what are you talking about? She's like, the recession, the economy's about to tank. People aren't going to have any money to fix up old muscle cars. And we kind of looked at each other like, what? There's a thing called the economy? What is this? And so we found these two suckers that bought the whole thing. They bought our paint
wow.
booth. They bought all of our equipment. They took over the lease. We walked away even. We didn't owe anybody any money when we walked away.
So this is what they call, this is textbook street smart.
Yeah. You let them know you got a good business. And then you say, ha, joke's on you. But no, apparently they worked for like a year and then folded too because nobody paid for that stuff, you know?
Cars painted anymore.
Yeah. So at that point, my mom was in my ear because she's been a registered nurse for years.
Right.
30 plus. And she was in my ear like medical field. So I got an entry level job as a transporter after I did one more failed job as in the auto body field. But then I had some like health issues come up through that. So then I did some random other stuff. Like I was a pool boy for a little bit. I worked with the Parks and Rec department for a while. Like I was like a hockey ref and like a baseball umpire.
I'm hearing all of it. But I just keep thinking is like, who has enough hours in the day?
That's been my problem since I've been 16 is there's not enough hours.
I'm imagining you finish cleaning the pool and then you throw on the striped shirt and you go and ref some hockey.
Yeah. All the while I decided to go back to school. So I'm going to school and doing two. Yeah.
Black lung from the
right.
lines.
I got painter's lung from spraying cars, smoking cigarettes too, because that's the cool thing to do at 20. Just, really taking good care of myself. You know what I mean? I took some prescription pills here and there. You know what I mean? Jazzed it up a little bit.
You were looking long term. You were like, I don't think I can do this until 40.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing is like I had friends around me dying. You know what I mean? So like people are like, yeah, we're might not be here a long time. Might as well have fun. So
yeah,
that's a weird thing to come across at 20 when you're late teens and early 20s when people around you start dying and you're like, huh.
Maybe it's our decisions.
Yeah, maybe we just roll with it and see what happens. That's where my mind went. Now I'm 30. I'm like, yes, it is our decisions. I need to make better ones. But at 20s, I'm like, Russian roulette every day. Let's do this.
So going back a little bit, were either of your grandparents funny? Like, who was the funny person in your family that you kind of were like, all right? Because I feel like everyone has like that funny person that's not them, that's not the comedian or eventually the comedian.
Me and my mom started developing this thing pretty early on where we'd say just bad, terrible things about people, like whispering it to each other and just like see who could catch each other off guard. You know what I mean? Like I tried, like if I got my mom being like, true, then I got like check one for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then she'd say some stuff like I remember one time when you start feeling like you got a little bit of chops about you, like it was in the 8th grade and I was coming back from a baseball game and my mom opened the door at a gas station and a bird shat on her arm.
Perfect.
And she went, shit. And my mom hated cussing in front of us. Hated it. She just was like, shit. And I was like, yep. Like without missing a beat, I was like, yep, that's what that is. And she just looked at me like, what? But then she couldn't help but start laughing. She's like, thank you. I felt horrible about that moment. And you made me feel better about it by not being upset at me for cussing in front of my, 12-year-old son.
See, my mom cursed a lot when we were young. And then just one day, because, I'm so much older than the two siblings I have, like they're 10 and 12 years younger, right?
Yeah.
And then when they were born, all of a sudden she was just like, I'm not cursing anymore. But she'd already been cursing. So like Charlotte, my brother and I we were like 13 and 11. So she'd be like, one of you needs to just get the F out of here. And we're like, oh yeah, we get the F out of here, mom. Let's get the F out of here. Like, we just do that.
Like, who are you?
Yeah. We were like, oh yeah, we're scared. Woman yelling frick, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like we know the real you. All right. Don't play these games.
We were in the trenches. Bev.
That's growing up in the 90s versus growing up 2000s.
Yeah, no, it is.
My grandma, like I remember she would like catch her finger in the screen door and cuss, and then I'd look at her and she'd be like, what, it hurt? Oh, all right, calm down, I'm sorry.
you want to try?
Yeah, my grandma was hilarious as well. Like she always had like she was Southern proper lady that really deep down wasn't proper funny.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like we're at this Southern ball, but deep down we're eating off paper plates and plastic forks, like that type.
Yeah.
Had to get her hair done all the time, you know what I mean? Like That dyed it. Couldn't let anybody know she had gray hair. Couldn't let anybody know she was getting older. Like, just was hilarious. Like, I remember she had a procedure one time, and I knew what my grandma looked like when she dropped her eyebrows low. She's about to hit you with some truth. You know what I mean? Like, it was gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And I look over across the table, and she took a couple pain pills earlier in the day because of the procedure she had. I'm like, Grandma, you okay? She's like, Drew, do you need a bra? And I was like, damn, Grandma, like, are you kidding me right now? And I was, so yeah, she was ruthless. She was roast battle ruthless before we had roast battles.
And not like you're starting to look like just straight up.
She was that typical Southern grandma. It's like, honey, you want a second plate? And I'm like, no, I'm good. She's like, good. You probably didn't need it anyway. You know, like that type. Like, okay, all right.
As a scrawny child, I had the opposite where it was like, no, you need seconds. And I was like, I can't eat seconds. I was like, I can't eat it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to waste it. Then you're going to guilt trip me for throwing food out.
Yeah. And to this day, she has passed, but till the day she died, she would not admit that she did that. I'd be like, you were high on pain pills. She's like, no, I don't. I do not recall what you were talking about.
Did not recall the pain pills, or just
saying what she said to
that.
Me. Okay. Yeah. She was like, I did not say that to you. I would
pain
not.
Pills, she was like, I had plenty of those still.
Yeah, she's like, oh, they're fantastic. I'm on 2 right now. You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. All right, so you're working 155 jobs. You're imagine at 155 hours a week. I don't know how many hours are in a week.
Nope. I was like
7 times 20, 140. Actually, probably close to 155.
Yeah, somewhere 150.
Not too far off. Not too far off. Hey,
okay, look at you.
I haven't taken a math class since 18 because I went to a TV school and we didn't need to do math.
I went to a TV school.
Yeah, well, it's a film school. I don't know what it's a story for another day.
Okay.
All right, so you're doing a billion jobs.
Yes.
And what age did you start stand up?
26.
26. You're not even.
I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not even thinking about doing comedy. I'm thinking I'm going to be a Parks and Rec director. I'm thinking I've liked these jobs with the Parks and Rec department.
Okay.
I get an internship with them that also counts as college credit, following them on their day-to-day, like setting up the team schedules, picking up the team uniforms, like picking the teams. Like, I was like, dude, you get paid for this? Like, come on, this is great. But then you start seeing the parents I got to deal with, and the umpires flaking, and the teenagers you hire not showing up, you know? Yep. So, and then I went back to the community college that I got my painting certificate. It wasn't a degree, but I got a certificate.
Cars. For
the cars.
I know you have an artistic side as well. So that's why I was like, wait, you had this the entire time?
My certificate. And so I go to them and I'm like, I just want a 2-year general education degree. I'm going to transfer back to a 4-year university for Parks and Recreation. They're like, perfect.
Sweet.
But have you heard about this new program we have called Physical Fitness Technology? Ooh. And I'm like, why would I care? I told you what I need, man. I've got to get a 4-year degree in order to pursue my next step.
You know what you want to do with your life.
Give me my 2-year degree. This is the only time I knew what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I'm like, let me get this degree. And he's like, but what about this?
But what if I ignore everything you're saying and just pull something out of my ass?
I guess it was a new program and they were really pushing it. And I mean, I was 20, 21, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you're like still looking at adults.
So I was like, cool, man. I was like, it's going to transfer to a 2-year degree or a 4-year school. I'm going to get all the general stuff out of the way. And he's like, and then some. I'm like, okay, cool. Sign me up.
Yeah.
So I go to this 2-year program, all the while working my ass off. Don't have any time for anything. You know what I mean? Like, cost me a couple of relationships, which in your early 20s, good. You know what I mean? Good.
Good.
And I get to like 3 weeks before graduation. Like, I've taken this program's really geared towards like personal trainers. So like, I've taken group aerobics classes. I taught a 45-minute group exercise class in front of my mom. She was in the front row because it was open to the public, and she laughed the entire time.
Okay, so this is really your first time
So
doing stand.
I've been through some stuff. Yeah, I've been through some things. You know what I mean? To get
Right.
this 2-year degree.
Right.
I've already started like looking at colleges that I'm transferring to, all this stuff. They come into our 2-year degree class, like one of our classes, because it was such a new program. There's like 7 of us. So we all just took the same classes each semester. Like we might have taken a different elective or something, but we were in the same classes together. So they come in and they're like, hey, so we didn't get an articulation agreement for this degree.
No.
No schools are going to honor these classes.
Oh my God.
So I wasted 2 more years for nothing. So I quit. I didn't even go to finals. I never graduated with that degree or anything. They were still, come on, get your degree. We'll figure
But
something
you just
out.
have these credits now and they mean nothing.
Find out the advisor that told me about it. He's long been gone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he was like on his way out, or like he got fired because of the bad direction he was giving kids. I don't know.
You never looked up this. I would have hunted this man down.
Yeah. I took it. You know how you just do stupid things in your early 20s. I took it as I guess I'm going to be a blue collar guy the rest of my life.
I mean, I guess that's gotta be a pretty consistent thing that happens though, where someone's just like, well, I did put the effort in.
I tried.
Yeah.
And so then I go back and my mom gets me a job at the hospital, like the entry level job at the hospital. I worked my way up to like telemetry. I watch heart monitors overnight and call the nurse if anything changes. So like it's a decent paying job. It's not the best, but it's paying the bills. I'm living on my own. I'm doing okay. I'm like 23, 24 at this point.
So, and you're starting to, that's what things are starting to like kind of, you're like, all right, I got some bills.
Yeah, it's when I'm like, you know what, this is gonna be my life. My mom was a healthcare worker. I'm just gonna be a healthcare worker. It's fine. So then I start working overnight. So I work like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And you're in front of a computer watching 32 people's heart rates go across the screen for 12 hours. You got to do something to like keep your mind going, or not falling asleep, or like doing whatever. And then to add another level of difficulty, I decided to go to paramedic school. I was like, I'll be a paramedic. So I was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., going straight to school till noon, going home and sleeping for like 3 hours, going to the hospital early to knock out a couple hours of clinicals, and then going to work.
Well, the good news is with a schedule like that, it's going to clear up your fatty liver.
You're right. I didn't have time to do anything. On my days off, I just slept all day. You know what I mean? Like I had time. I had no social life. I had nothing. Like and then I had like 2 semesters into it, I had like a mental breakdown. So I dropped out of school. I was like, I'm just going to have the job. I was like, I don't want to be around firefighters and cops every day anyway. You know what I mean? Like I'd gone a couple ride-alongs and it just was not fun.
I mean, it's a stressful job.
Yeah. So then I got all this free time on my hands. What is free time? I'm not used to free time.
We're going to Vegas.
Right. So I start working a split shift. So I'm spending most of my time on days working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So like I'm feeling better, like I'm not bogged down by school. Like they say comedy comes from pain and tragedy, which I mean, I've definitely had points in my life where that came from, but my work, like starting comedy, came from a place of, all right, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing all right for a change. I'm not working 72 jobs. Like I still was reffing hockey here and there, but like I was working at the hospital. I had long forgotten about trying to be a Parks and Rec director. Like wasn't going to go back to school ever again.
That's tainted.
Like I was done. I was like, this is my life. I'm going to work. Maybe I'll find a cooler job at some point, but it is what it is.
Don't do it for now. Yeah.
So then I started spending that time, and I'd listening to comedy albums. Like I stumbled upon like John Panette. Like he was one of the first comics that I like listened to his entire album and how he set everything up. Listened to some like Brian Regan. Like those were the first comics that I really like were drawn to. Hannibal, like
because timing wise, when this is what year? This is probably around, I mean, it's probably around 2010, 2011,
2011.
Yeah. And then so that those names all make sense.
Yeah, 2011. I went and saw Steve Renazizi at Good Nights in Raleigh, and it was amazing. Like the fact that he kept a room, like he had a microphone and an entire room was just hanging on everything that he said. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I immediately had, the big eyes, like the what?
Yeah.
Boom. There's my calling right there. Like I have never felt about this. Like I've never felt this way before.
It's amazing that it came from, like it came from actually having time to just breathe.
Yeah.
And like, well, I don't know. I mean, normally like the first, my early 20s, I just spent it working 50 hours a week and drinking and partying.
Trying to figure out my future. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and then
you
you
still
get
got
to,
that cloud over your shoulder.
Yeah. Then you get to like, I know what I want to do. Blows up in your face.
Yeah.
None of it. But none of this is even coming from like you're not pulling from any of that, which is what I find interesting.
I felt like I had no control over what was going to happen to my future, obviously, because every time I hit a roadblock. So I was just like, just see what happens. Like, let's not plan anything. Like, let's just go for it. I'm going to make some choices. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, this is my lot in life, Yeah.
Okay. So you got this time now, right? And you're listening to a bunch of comedy.
Yeah.
And you now know I want to do this.
Yeah.
Like
or at least want to see if I could get that feeling,
I want to try it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how do you pursue that? Like, how do you start it?
So I have those 12-hour shifts, so I'm like, let's start writing some jokes. You know what I mean? Like, let's see if I can, somehow harness all of these weird stories that have happened all throughout my life so far and try to make it fun.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I didn't try to do stories early on. I tried to do like topical, isn't this funny? Like dumb stuff like that. And I kind of was a little like dirty early on too.
I do remember seeing one of your early tapes and we both went,
yeah, no, it's cringe. It is definitely cringe at this point. Like I hate it.
And I can't speak for everybody because I don't know everyone's story or whatever, but I know the first time I tried it, it was the same thing where I was like, well, I'm going to do what I think stand-up is.
Yeah.
And I was just bombing. And then I just was like, well, I'll just start telling the most popular story I've been telling my friends. And I just told that story and everyone liked it. And then I was like, oh, next time I do stand-up, I'm going to just tell stories.
Do that.
Yeah.
So I was writing all this stuff. I wrote for like 6 months. I had like 10 jokes, you know what I mean? Like that I felt
3.5.
I didn't have any, but in my mind, got 10 jokes,
in your mind, you're like,
I'm like, and I had an order. I was like, this flows into this, flows into this, flows into this. Callback. I even knew what a callback was because I heard it on like a tape,
You had your mic drop written in already. And this is where they stand up for
like, did he hit a callback his first time out?
Oh,
I thought they were going to carry me out of the bar. Yeah, no. And I just didn't know what a comedy show was. You know what I mean? So like I started.
Oh God, yeah.
I didn't know what anything. I didn't know what a showcase was. I didn't even know what all I saw were these specials that I was watching, where a voice from the heavens calls out the guy or the girl, and they just walk out. You know what I mean? I just thought that's what comedy was. I didn't know early on you had to go to showcases and mics and things. I thought you're just like, where's my headline and show?
Yeah. You were like, oh, that Brian Regan guy's only tried this like maybe 3 or 4 times. I'll probably be that good after the 4th time as well.
Easy. So we were at one of our favorite places to drink. Me and my roommate. My roommate was a DJ JB. And
this was a heavy DJ time too.
That
was a heavy DJ time.
Oh yeah. Which I'll give him credit. He wavered through. He still does, weddings and events and things like that. Still got a very lucrative side business.
Yeah, that's good. That's good money. My friends were just like, well, what if we got girls being a DJ and like bought all the equipment, and then they would get bored with it after like a year, and then they'd like.
So we're sitting at Rail House Brewery one night just drinking, and we're like, so what do we do? He's like, are you ever going to tell your jokes? And I was like, I want to. I don't know how. Like there wasn't any open mics or shows or anything in Southern
Who am I going to tell
Pines.
you?
Yeah. And lo and behold, the owner of Rail House was our bartender that night. And he was like, just do it here. And so kind of, the pressure's on, I mean, they're both looking at me like, you got no excuses now, bud. You got to set a date. And so I did it December 22nd because I knew everybody was going to be in town from like college and, seeing their families and stuff.
Hey, that's actually pretty smart for
early on. I thought about
producing. That's pretty smart.
So we set up this date, December 22nd, 2011. And my roommate brings all of his equipment in. And we didn't know what we were doing. So he just went up to it and went, ladies and gentlemen, Drew Harrison. Yeah. And then I just went into it.
You're the only person on the show.
Only one. I didn't know anybody else.
Wow. Yeah. Because you don't know anyone in Raleigh yet. You don't know anyone in Wilmington. No clue. You don't know anyone in Greensboro.
I got nothing.
Why would you think to look there?
Yeah. I went on, Facebook was just out of its, you needed a college ID email to get on. So I went on there and tried to find, I was like, local comedian. I didn't know what to do.
Are you comedy?
Funny, haha.
It would have been when statuses were still is. So it'd be like, Drew Harrison is Are You Comedy?
Yeah.
everyone in town's like, oh yeah, Drew's finally having a stroke. This is great.
So I got nothing. We made a Facebook event for it. Some people said they were coming. There ended up being like 70 people there. Because they're like
last summer in Southern Pines.
They're like, let's go see,
Why not?
So I proceeded to do like 20 minutes because I just word vomited everything I wrote.
You did 20 minutes though?
First time out. Yeah. I didn't know it wasn't normal. You know what I mean? It was god awful. I mean, I think I was getting some pretty good pity laughs, but then I also was hitting some, but I mean, it was all that low hanging fruit. You know what I mean? That like your uncle can get on like a funny holiday speech. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
And you're local, everybody.
Yeah, and they're loving it.
Be like, how about that DJ career, huh?
Yeah, and my next door neighbor, growing up, me and his son were really good friends, and he has the most unique. Just his laugh makes other people laugh.
Okay. And
I was hitting him, and he was cracking up, and he was making the wave of laughter go across. Like he was the igniter. You know what I mean? And it was just the perfect storm your first time out to just be like, I'm gonna be a star.
Wow, 20 minutes though. It's still like just to not like get to a point where you go, oh, this is awful, and then just bailing. Yeah, because I felt like that after 7.
Yeah
right, but
I was getting enough laughs and luckily for me, I mean, no one can remember 20 minutes of jokes. I had it taped to the bar stool, so I'd like get a drink and like I mean, who cares? We weren't, we didn't care. But yeah, I got enough laughs. I drank for free that night. You know what I mean? Like it was, felt good, And then I was like, now what?
Yeah.
Can't do that again. You know what I mean? I don't have, what am I going to say? The same jokes? You know what I mean? Like,
and no one else that saw that came up to you and was like, hey, I've kind of wanted to try that. Like this classic stereotype that happens every time.
None of that, but a buddy, my tattoo artist, a good buddy of mine, Scott, brought his friend that he went to school with who happened to do comedy at like the early Idiot Box in like Greensboro and stuff like that. And he was from our hometown, but he was in like Greensboro and things like that. Okay. So he was like, no, man, you got to, find some mics and some, shows and, become friends with other like he was the one that kind of like, do this. Like
give you a little advice here. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, great stuff. I mean, not really, but he was being nice. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, you went out there and you did a thing, like now let's refine it. So I just went back to the old Google, and like comedy shows in North Carolina. And first thing that popped up was Port City's Top Comic in Wilmington, which is their yearly contest. So I signed up for it. I was like,
after one time.
Yeah. I was like,
let's stand up one time and then you signed up for a contest.
Yeah.
I've never thought you were an ego. I think that's what I've always liked about you is I've always felt like I'm the egomaniac and you're like the nice, calm, thoughtful one. But hearing this, you sound like an absolute.
I'm the ignorant egomaniac though. I'm the one that stumbles into this stuff because I don't know any better.
You're wearing an NWO shirt right now. I know you walked in just like, Your savior is here.
Hollywood's here.
What's up, Wilmington? They're all like, who is this guy?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't, yeah, your first few times out, you don't know how to mingle amongst other comics. You know what I
No,
mean?
I
So
know. I know. This is like one of those stories you're saying out loud, then going, yeah, now I hear it.
now I don't even know how in the world any of these people ever talked to me.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So second time ever doing comedy was a 5-minute set at first round of Port City Stop Comedy.
I read the light by 30 minutes.
I timed it out. I had it to a science. Like I was like 5 minutes, boom. And the people I was around at the time helped me write it. I performed it in front of like a small group of people. They gave me feedback, like I had it tailor made. I even had this closer that I was super proud of. And it was 12 comics, 6 advanced to the finals. So we all did our set, and they're calling the first comic, and it was the year Matt White won. So Matt White advances, Eric Schaus advances, which him and Matt basically ran Greenville comedy back then. And then, Wilmington local legends like Louis Bishop, Lou Mergante, Colton DeMonte, Steve Marcinowski, John Feltz, Reed Clark, Steve Milia. And then it was the last name, and they called my name.
Oh my God.
I advanced to the finals. And then how you've been to festivals and contests, you have a good set, you advance, and people are like, oh well, hey man, who are you? You almost have to prove yourself to other comics.
Right.
Yeah. So then we ended up hanging out, and the comics were super nice. Went back the next week, bombed horribly in the finals.
There it is.
Because I didn't think about it. A lot of the comics did the same set. You know what I mean? Which is the smart thing. The smart thing to do. Now that I've done contests, you know what I mean. But I was like, I'm gonna do something new. It was how your first few times it's you're throwing noodles at the wall in hopes it sticks. And the first 2 times out, it stuck a little bit, and that third time it fell to the ground immediately.
Yeah.
But I still had their respect, because they're like, this kid just came out and did something new. Like, what? All right.
But that first true bomb is so funny too, because like when you're that early on, I mean, all of a sudden you just go, oh, what was that?
Yeah.
And that's when like the addiction side of it kind of comes in.
Why didn't they like it? They usually like it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I love Wilmington. I got to get down here. So I moved down there like September that year. Like the contest was in May, I think. Started going to all the just mics at the bars and got in it. It was Nut Street Comedy Club back then.
Yeah.
The basement of the Soapbox, which was a music venue, and just worked my way up, man. Paid my dues, went to, all the open mics, hung out, went to the shows, watched headline. I got to watch Michael Che before anybody knew who Michael Che was.
Right.
I got to watch Ron Funches before anyone knew who Ron Funches was.
Yeah, Ron was definitely like a overnight kind of guy, I feel like. You just went, he's everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I've gotten to see, Dave Stone, Kyle Kinane, Sean Patton,
and you performed with most of them.
Yeah. You and down to Nut Street, / Dead Crow, you really get to, if you go to Amy or Timmy and you're like, this is one of my favorite comics.
Yeah.
Please let me just do guest spot. And they're like, of course, so they really look out for you.
Disclaimer for anyone listening, that's not going to happen for everybody.
No. This is back in the day. All right.
I know someone's ears just perked up, and they're like, I've been stand up 4 times. I will be opening.
I'm talking about there's you have to work your way into that circle.
Yes.
You have to pay, you have to do those same things still, even though they've grown in numbers.
They're committed to the scene.
And plus there was, at this point there was 10 comics in Wilmington. So like there's enough to go around. Those numbers have gotten up there too. So yes, the old way. But I remember that first weekend I was on the showcases used to be Timmy and Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Timmy would either host or he would finish the show. And that was like your first step into, well, now you can host and feature on the weekends. Like you did a couple of Timmy and Friends, you did well, and now you're like, that's your pass. You know what I mean?
I trust you now.
Yeah. So I did my Timmy and Friends. I did really well. Chris Fairbanks was the first comic I opened for. And that's back when, since a lot of us, none of us had feature sets, only a few of like maybe like 2 or 3 comics had 25 minutes. So they got to feature solo. But what Timmy would do to develop the comics is he would cut it in half and you'd do 12 minutes with another comic.
Oh, that's smart.
So he'd either host or he would have a trusted host, and then 2 comics would do 12 minutes and then the headliner would go up to kind of build your confidence, build your time. And he loved it. He would always pull you aside if you did something new. You know what I mean? If you added something to your 12 minutes, he was like, there we go. Now you're building it up. You're almost at 20. He headlined the show. I did my first like full 25 minutes. It was at this big music venue in Wilmington. They had like this upstairs place, and at like 10 o'clock on Tuesdays, they let us do a comedy show. So it'd be in front of like 6 people and the whole bar staff. But it was the first time I ran 20, and Timmy did 45. It was great.
Right. Okay. And so you're at Dead Crow now, and this is 2012
to 20.
onward,
Yeah.
Up until you moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
Are you doing festivals? And what's your like day job looking like at this point?
So when I moved to Wilmington, I answered a Craigslist ad for a veterinary clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And they hired me on the spot because I went to paramedic school.
Amazing.
They're like, done. I was like, what? All right. I was like, let me do this for like 3 months when I find something else, because I had no interest in doing that at all. And I have my last shift. 3 months turned into 9.5 years. But so yeah, I'm working at the vet clinic during the day. So my nights are free. You know what I mean? Like we close at like 6. I can go to whatever. Not a lot of mics in Wilmington. We had like a Tuesday mic. We had a Thursday mic. But everyone really just geared up. I did some festivals. Like we have our own Cape Fear Comedy Festival every year. Right. So Timmy and Amy and Cole, progressing young comics. If you didn't get into the festival, they let you host. So
as a Wilmington comic.
Right. So I
didn't get into the festival twice. And
another disclaimer. Sorry.
They let me host
the locals 6
years later.
Hey, you're about to feature. It's all good.
We'll get there.
They'll come up. But no, the locals got to host if you didn't get in. So I remember I got to host for like, Dusty Slay in 2013. You know what I mean? Wild. Like I got to host for like Nate Craig. I got to host for the Grolics, Ben Roy, Adam Caton Holland, and Andrew Overall. So yeah, just really, and then you got to pass. So you got to go watch all these great shows. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's a good run festival. It's a well-run festival.
Yeah. And you have plenty of stage time, great crowds. Like some of my best moments were on those stages. You know what I mean? Like I went, so I hosted 2013 through 2015. And then that contest that I originally did, that I moved to Wilmington for, I finally won in 2016.
2016, Port City
top comic. Port City's top comic.
2016. Some people had a terrible year in 2016. Not Drew Harris.
What's funny is I had the worst year of my life personally. So that's what I was talking about. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. Comedy started for me from a happy place, from having more time on my hands and being able to dive into it. But I took that next step when I was like went through a divorce. We'll have another episode in the future about me and Matt Milner, Wilmington comic. We had a divorce dad summer, as they called it, where me and him just tore up the town, closed down the bars, and both grew exponentially in our comedy. It was ridiculous. Like
what is the pool boy can drink?
Yeah. So that was the divorce dad summer of 2016. I won Port City's top comic. I got into the festival. We started doing a show called Stone Cold Sober. You might be familiar, Will.
Oh, I've heard of this show.
Yeah.
So we co-host that show.
Yeah.
It's not our show.
And so, I mean, 2016 was a great year. Just personally, terrible.
Comedically, great year.
Yes.
But that's how it goes sometimes.
Right.
It really does. Like
they messed up when they gave me my trophy. They're like, would you like to say a couple words? And I was like,
First off, you pull the pint of whiskey out of your jacket. They're like, where'd you get the jacket from? It's the middle of the summer.
I choked up, but I said a thank you for everyone that, you know, supported me through the year. And all this, you know, that stuff. But we went out drinking that night, and I have $250 prize money in my back pocket.
Oh my God.
Cash. So go drinking throughout the night. Finally make a sappy post at 3 a.m.
Perfect.
Crash. Supposed to be at work at 7. My boss at the time called me at 7. It was also a girl that I was, you know, hanging out with a little bit. Yeah. And she called me looking for me at 7 a.m. after I sent her a sappy text at like 4 o'clock in the morning after the sappy post on Facebook saying North Carolina comics, where you at? You know, and woke up violently at 7 a.m. You know, still drunk, frantically looking in my back pocket, did not spend $1.
What?
Had the entire $250 still in my pocket. Apparently, I mean, it went dark for me pretty quick, but apparently we just happened to run into people from the show throughout the night, and they kept buying me drinks. And then, you know, like we'd see a new comic that would be like, hey, congrats, here's a drink.
Yeah. So this is like a Wilmington thing, because this is what happened.
Yeah.
Except for I still had to buy a lot of my drinks. Nobody was like, hey, yeah, you were great. Everyone was like, Drew. And then I was just like, here's my cash.
I love it, man. That's when I truly started just feeling like royalty, you know, going downtown in Wilmington, because then I started hosting Sex Toy Battleship, and that was, you know, you become this other like late night personality with that. It's like people would see me.
People know what that is. It was a mic, right?
No, it was straight up. It was the owner of the bar would buy sex toys, and we would play Battleship, and if I sunk your battleship, you won a dildo. And if you called Battleship and you didn't have it, then I got to hit you with a dildo that was like, and it was called Rambo. And people would mess up on purpose. Like drunk ladies would do it so their friends could like video them getting like hit with it was a whole thing.
You were a night out on Broadway before you lived in Nashville.
People started recognizing me at my day job for that part. Like that was awkward. Like it was.
That's amazing though.
But I mean, I started feeling like amazing in Wilmington. You know,
and like everything, yeah, and all the other jobs, all the other stuff. It was kind of like, oh, it was all sort of leading to me finding this thing that I really like, and I'm pretty good at it. And I'm sort of excelling at it. And I'm in a city that I really like. Yeah. With people that I really like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm going, like, once you win Port City Stop Comic, you know, Raleigh comes calling, Greensboro comes calling, Charlotte's available. So I was doing all the shows in North Carolina that I could get up on, you know, it was great. But then you kind of hit that wall, you know, where you're like, yeah, I think this is as good as it's going to get here for me.
Like, how many times can I do this show?
Yeah. And I was getting a little burnt out because I was producing a lot of shows at this time. Like me and Milner had 2 monthlies and a weekly mic, you know what I mean? Like that got burnt out on promoting and booking all that because, you know, comics, you know, like they said they'll be there, they don't show up, they cancel last minute. Like I was just getting burnt out on that. So I was like, I gotta change something. And my wife had moved from Charlotte to Wilmington and had really, you know, dove into our friend group, and she loved going down to the club and hanging out with the people after shows. And
you're remarried is what you...
Yes.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yes. You get remarried. So also
in 2019.
2019, also very positive thing.
Yes. So things are going good. You know what I mean? Loving Wilmington. That's why it was such a hard decision, because I could have seen us being happy there for a while. But like some of our friends started moving away. Some of them started having families. So like at the same time, we knew that we weren't going to be able to encapsulate this happiness we have right now. Yeah. So we're like, where's the next step? So we actually had a hurricane tear through our apartment, destroyed our apartment.
Right. Oh yeah, you told me that story.
So we needed like a little bit of a break mentally. So we took a trip to Denver because we had it narrowed down to Denver and Nashville.
Yeah,
because we didn't.
Exactly where I had it narrowed down to.
We didn't want to do New York or LA. Didn't really want to do the cold in Chicago,
Right.
which I know Denver gets cold too, but
It's not the same.
yeah.
Like that lake cold is just
Oh.
something else.
And so we visited Denver and immediately fell in love with it, but
Yeah.
spent way too much money.
See, and that was what deterred me as well. Yeah, I just couldn't. One of the best scenes in the country, one of the best cities in the country, one of the best comedy scenes in the country. But I don't know how anyone affords to live there.
Right.
I'm coming from New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I even was like, oh my God.
I love that the West Coast is a whole nother level. You know what I mean? Like people complain about New York prices, but you go to the West Coast. And,
yeah. Well, then, yeah, if you keep going to San Francisco and LA, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so we loved Denver, but we knew we couldn't afford it. So we were like, let's look into Nashville. And it actually happened like one of the last weekends I did at Dead Crow, I featured for Dusty Slay, prominent
cool.
Nashville comic. And I was just picking his brain, like, how's this, how's that? And he's like, oh, it's great. You got mics, most nights of the week. You can go up a couple times, a few nights, he's like, got good shows, Zany's is an amazing club. And so like, he really, drove the point home that we're like, let's give Nashville a shot. So we moved, packed everything into U-Haul, try to use my cliche country lyric.
Did you get here in the fall of 2019, correct?
Yeah.
And just what happened next, Drew?
I start going to the mics. I start meeting people. They were very welcoming.
It is a very welcoming.
Nashville comics were here for it. I felt great about the scene. I feel great about the scene, but unfortunately, the outside world had other plans. Because right when I felt like I was getting a little bit of momentum, Sir COVID hit.
Oh my gosh, that thing.
I remember being at Comedy Bar on a showcase night when they pulled the NBA players off the court and being like, "Uh-oh."
I don't know if I knew that even happened.
Because I remember, I was like, they don't cancel live sports just for nothing. And then they canceled the NCAA tournament, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, that's what I remember that being. That's when you're like, oh.
And they're like 2 weeks, and I was like, all right.
2 weeks.
And then everything went away. Everything got canceled. People even started just being like, texting me like, right? And I'm like, yeah, I got it. I had a couple of nice weekends lined up in Myrtle Beach. I had some runs in South Carolina. Like the main selling point to me, Nashville, was traveling. Huntsville's right down the street. Chicago's not that far away.
Louisville's not that far. Turns out Denver is very far.
Yeah. Still pretty far.
But St. Louis isn't that far. All of North Carolina, Atlanta, everything. Yeah. Yeah, it's a growing scene, and it's bounced back towards the end of 2020 and definitely through this year. I think it's going to have a good year next year.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm glad things are opening up because I want to hit the road. I want to get going.
Do you remember? This is a pop quiz. Do you remember applying to a festival in Chattanooga at any point and not getting into it?
Yes.
Okay. I performed with that guy recently, and I should know his name, but my Chattanooga friend and I had been drinking all day. So I was just happy to still be able to do my stand-up. But I was talking about you, and I was talking about the podcast, and I was talking about the tour and all that stuff. And he goes, so Drew? Goes, yeah, I know Drew, because I rejected him from the festival, and then I saw him live, and I thought, oh wow, I really messed up.
Oh, nice.
Another thing, I wanted you to see the beer that I was drinking called Friendship Update. Thought was very appropriate.
Look at that. I like that can.
And I think, would this be a good time to make your big announcement?
Yes. Wilmington friends, I can't wait to. Me and Will had such a fun time. But in for Alonzo Bowden, their grand opening weekend, we will be back in Wilmington February 18th and 19th. I will be headlining Dead Crow Comedy for the first time.
Sorry, wait, who's the headliner?
That's me, Drew Harrison.
Oh my God. That's right, everyone. Drew is coming back. The Prince of Wilmington, the Duke of Southern Pines is coming back to headline Dead Crow for the first time, and it's going to be fantastic.
I can't wait, man. Bringing Mr. Will, as my car calls him, Will Abeles.
Will Abeles will be there.
Will Abeles will be there with bells on.
And we might have a few other surprises in the future, but for now, that's the big one.
Yeah.
It's definitely the big one. Oh, and also I guess and you'll be in Greensboro on that Wednesday.
Also Wednesday, February, I guess that would be 16th. I will be in the Idiot Box in Greensboro, North Carolina, running that said hour. So please come check that out. Either show. I want you all to see this. Trying to set up something in Raleigh that week as well, but we'll see how that goes. Just come see a show.
Yeah, and definitely if you can make it to Dead Crow at any point, check out the club because the renovations are absolutely incredible.
They got a compound now.
It's amazing.
Compound. They got an elegant bar on the inside. They got a beer garden in the outside. They got a fantastic showroom. It's just amazing. They got a
green room that I'm going to try and convince them let me just sleep in for 2 nights.
Like, can I just stay?
Can I just sleep up here because I can't walk anymore?
Yeah. I'm trying. I need to go into training for that weekend because I've been out the drinking game for a little bit. So I gotta start doing my daily push-ups. Yeah,
I definitely will have to. I might take January off. I don't know. I always say I'm going to, but then I saw some post about how you should be supporting your bars in January because it's like the hardest month for them to make money. And I was like, who's supporting me though? So I can support them. That's where I'm at.
Right. I want to support them, but it's expensive.
It's expensive, but
yeah.
Well, Drew, love your story.
Thank you. That was fun to get out.
Yeah. And there's so many pieces that I didn't know.
Yeah, right.
I know we've talked about it, but there was so many parts that I was like, I forgot about that or that part. Yeah.
I forgot about some of it, but then a story would lead me into about, oh yeah, then this happened. Oh yeah.
And now you're headlining at Dead Crow.
Side note about just to put the little bow on top of the shit show that is my college resume.
Oh, that's what I meant to bring this up. Yeah.
When I was applying to school, because surprise, back in school, actually graduating this time in May.
Van Wilder, but he's like Van Wilder, but married.
And when I was applying to the school that I'm at now, my professor saw my transcripts and he said, you got as many credits as people applying for their doctorate.
I'm going to start calling you Doc.
Doc, hey, I'll take it. I've spent enough money for it. That's for sure.
And we have
college is expensive these days, man. I remember when it was a couple $100 back in my day.
Yeah. Well, listen, Doc, if you're gonna be taking care of cars / the insides of dogs /
thankfully ending my veterinary career. I'm so hyped to get out of that. PSA before we get out of here. Treat your vet techs right, because there's about to be none of them left to take care of Precious and Bella anymore because you done yelled at them too much. So food for thought. You
leave. See, and this is there's the arrogance that you're like, well, I'm leaving, therefore all the vet techs are gonna leave.
They will follow me.
Yeah. 20 minutes of stand-up, first time, drops the mic, gonna enter a competition.
Feeds ego.
All right, Drew. This was fun.
I loved it, man.
We did it. I think we did a good job.
I think we did too. Where can they find you on the social medias?
I don't think anyone wants to find me. I think they're gonna be like, what? We got the king of the Cape River sitting right here. We're wasting our time with this Joe Schmo. Well, I don't have any shows because I had that pageant fall through.
Well, I hear that there's this pretty killer picture of you in a white fringe jacket circling the internet. So they at least got to know where to find that at.
All right. Quick story. I was supposed to be working on a TV job. Supposed to basically fund the next 3 months of my life. Fell through. Got zero of that money.
Zero money.
Had to drive back to Nashville. And to compensate, I stole my mom's white leather jacket with really long fringe on it. And I went to the first open mic.
Has she seen the picture yet?
Oh yeah. She was like, what are you doing? She was like, you know who else saw that picture? Dusty saw that picture because he liked it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how to explain. Okay. I walked in, one of the comics just went, why? Why are you doing this? And I said, because I gotta let you guys know that I'm back. But upcoming shows, whenever we do have them, you can always find them on willablescomedy.com. And also my Instagram is pretty entertaining. Also at Will
I'll give you
Abeles.
that.
At Will Abeles Comedy.
Number 3.
Number 3, baby. Number 3, according to the voters of the Nashville Scene
The voters.
magazine.
All
All
right,
right, Drew.
check me out on Instagram as well at Laugh with Harrison. Got a link tree on there. You can check out everything that I do. So yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next episode.
Subscribe.
My funny friends. My